may have heard of couples therapy and wondering what it's all about or even what to expect if you go. Today, I will be talking about the top 5, in my opinion, couples therapy approaches that may be able to help you. Hi, I'm Rhonda Brown, registered nurse, marriage and family therapist, counselor, and relationship coach. And welcome back to the Art of Connection Therapy channel, where we talk about connection to God, connection to ourselves, and connection to one another, so that we can begin to move toward having the kinds of relationships that we were created to have. First off, I want to say that there are many different types of modalities for couples therapy. I'm just naming the top 5 on this channel, and we are going to be talking about it really quickly in a nutshell, so you can get a sense of when you're reading about couples therapists, when you're trying to find the best couples therapist for you, and you see these different types of treatment modalities that they use, you can have an idea of what they are talking about. In addition to the 5 types of therapies that I'm going to be talking about on this channel, I'm also going to be throwing in a bonus type of therapy that may be helpful to you as well. So stay to the end of the video to hear the different types of therapies that may be able to help you. Number 5, CBT, also known as cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a very common modality that is used for individuals as well as couples. And in CBT, what therapists mainly do is they look at the thoughts that someone is having and how those thoughts dictate the person's behaviors. So in that kind of couples therapy, they would be looking at the thoughts that each partner is having, how that contributes to the behaviors that may be negatively impacting the relationship. This modality of therapy, the CBT, is also good for people who may have addictions, panic attacks, or issues with panic or anxiety, because again, it really looks at the person's core beliefs, also known as schemas, ways that they develop, thought processes that they have that contribute to their behaviors that may be negatively impacting their lives and or the couple's relationship. Number 4, solution-focused brief therapy, also known as SFBT. Solution-focused is really focused on the solution. So it's very strengths-based. So if you go to a therapist that works primarily in solution-focused brief therapy, they will be looking at the kind of strengths that you have individually and as a couple, and really helping to unpack that, because we know, I can tell you as a counselor and a marriage family therapist, that when people come in with conflict or with issues, they tend to focus on the negative primarily, and not even on the strengths, not even on the good parts of the relationship. So this type of therapy would really help to kind of flip that a little bit, not ignore some of the things that are causing conflict, but they would focus primarily on the solutions, on the strengths, and being able to help the couple recognize their strengths individually and as a couple, and then build from that place. Also, with solution focused, the therapist really helps the couple to try to get a clear picture of the kind of life that they want. Again, as human beings, our tendency is to really focus or highlight what we don't want. Everyone knows what they don't want. Very few people are thinking about, this is what I want. This is what I want my marriage to look like. This is what I want our relationship to look like. And so the solution-focused therapist would help you to really get a clear picture of what that is, help you put words to what it is that you really want, and help you using your strengths and different techniques to help you to build on that, to move toward having the kind of life and relationship that you want. Number 3, Gottman's couples therapy. treatment. This is a very popular one, Gottman's treatment. A therapist who practices Gottman type of couples therapy would be looking at the 4 horsemen that Gottman identifies, and they are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. Criticism is not just saying what you don't like. That is a complaint, and that is okay. Usually while that may annoy some people, it doesn't really cause breakups in relationships. What really causes breakups or tension in the relationship or conflicts is when the complaints turn to criticism. Now, criticism is when you are attacking someone's character, not just complaining about a certain behavior or about a certain event that happened, but attacking that person, being condescending to them, diminishing them. And that is criticism. And that's the first of what Gottman calls the 4 horsemen. Another thing that he talks about, which is the second horseman, is contempt. Contempt is when you are intentionally insulting your partner. So now you feel like maybe, for example, your partner never helps you take care of the things in the household. So the minute you see them come through the door, you call them a child and you say that they're acting like a child. Like you purposely now are trying to insult them as a way to get them to hear what it is that you're saying, but it is an insult, and that is contempt. And these 4 horsemen that Gottman talks about are things that can really cause breakdown in relationships. The third one is defensiveness. So you can imagine if someone is being criticized or someone is treating them with contempt, they are going to be defensive. That's what people do. They try to defend themselves. They block themselves. But the more they block themselves, the more that they're defensive, is the more the other partner may heap criticism and contempt on them. So then it starts this vicious cycle that is hard to break. The last one of the 4 horsemen is stonewalling. Stonewalling is basically when 1 or 2 people kind of just numb out in the relationship. So whether you say something good or bad, it really doesn't matter anymore. They've just checked out of the relationship. So a therapist that practices from Gottman's method of couples therapy would be looking at these 4 horsemen if they're present in the relationship, and then how to help the couple see that, then change that, and really be able to identify their needs and to communicate their needs to one another. So it would really help in improving communication between the couple. Number 2, Imago Therapy. Now, Imago Therapy really looks at childhood traumas and how they show up in the individual and how they show up in the relationship. Because again, if you've watched a lot of my videos, a lot of what we bring into relationships, right? A lot of our baggage, known and unknown, a lot of our ways, a lot of our thinking, a lot of our ways of being come from childhood. And if we've had trauma in our childhood that hasn't been addressed or processed, you can imagine how that's going to show up in your life and eventually in your relationship with your spouse or your partner. So for the therapist that practices Imago Therapy, they would be looking at those childhood traumas in both partners, how they show up in the relationship, again, identifying it, and then helping the couple to work through that so that they can have better communication and a better relationship. And number 1, emotionally focused therapy, also known as EFT. So a lot of acronyms that you may see. But again, when you see them, you may have an idea of what the therapist will be working on in sessions if you decide to choose them for your couples therapy. EFT, or emotionally focused therapy, sounds just like the title says. It's really focused on the emotion, because the emotions are signals, and the emotions dictate a lot of the behaviors that you see in couples. Now, what happens when a couple is escalated, when they kind of miss each other, is that they do not send clear emotional signals to the other person. Example, you may be waiting for your husband to come home to have dinner with you. Your husband doesn't come home till 10 o'clock at night, doesn't say anything, and you feel really hurt about it. What you'll communicate to your husband maybe is criticizing them, maybe is telling them that they are never on time, or whatever the case is. That's sending a mixed signal, because what's really at the core of it is the emotion. And the emotion was that you felt hurt, and maybe you felt sad, maybe you felt taken advantage of, maybe you felt fill in the blank, right? But the emotions tend to get scrambled when we are triggered. So a therapist that works with emotionally focused therapy with a couple will really help the couple to understand the emotions that are happening inside them, and then being able to communicate that to their partners in a clear way, not sending a scrambled message, but sending a clear message to the partner. Because when we're able to share from that place of emotion, from that place of vulnerability, a lot of times the partner responds to that, not in a harsh way. It tends to bring things down where people can actually hear each other. So emotionally focused therapy really helps with communication. It helps with connection. It helps with the couple really bonding. Now, I did say in the beginning that I would be adding also a bonus type of couples therapy. And this bonus that I'm going to add in here is called discernment counseling. So if you see a couples counselor that does discernment counseling, this is for the couple that is thinking about divorce. Because let's just face it, in the world we live in, things like that do happen, and people do contemplate whether they have gotten in the right relationship or not. So there are counselors that work specifically as discernment counselors for couples, where they really help the couple to understand whether or not they really want to get divorced. Because while it may seem like it's a good way out, or it's an easy way out, seldomly it is. It is very painful. It is very difficult. It is very traumatic. And you can imagine that when you have children involved, it can be even more detrimental to many people in the situation. So that is the bonus type of therapy that I wanted to talk about, was discernment counseling. Now, many therapists may use, actually most therapists use a combination of different types of therapies, because it's never a one size fits all. Humans are very complex. And so you may have therapists that kind of use different modalities when they are treating couples, or when they are seeing couples and working with couples. So for example, you may have a therapist who is primarily a CBT type of therapist, but they use some strategies from SFBT, solution focused, and vice versa. Or they may use a combination of multiple types of therapies. Again, each couple is unique, and what they bring is unique. And so the therapist works to be able to meet the couple's needs, and it may not be found all in one theory. They may borrow from different theories and use a combination, or what we call eclectic type of therapy that they provide to the couples. So those are 5 of my top couples therapy modalities that I find that are very, very, very helpful in helping couples through conflict, helping couples maintain their relationship, helping couples grow, helping couples stay connected and stay together and have marriages that thrive and that last and that are healthy through the test of time. Are there any types of therapies that you would recommend? Again, there are so many more out there that are really good as well, but these top 5 made the cut for me. If you have any comments, please let me know in the comments below. Also, remember to like and subscribe to this channel, and you can hit the notification bell to know when I release future videos. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. And remember always that connection is an art worth mastering. Take care.